Put down another one for Dusty May and company. Another blowout. This time, Villanova, the victims, it's over. Down at the Chrysler Center, Michigan with a 28-point victory, 89-61. No, they did not get to 100, but they were impressive from start to finish. They came out and put the hammer down. They did not look back. And number 2, Michigan is 9-0, and they do have 6 straight blowouts, and they continue to be the talk of the college basketball world as they sit on top of the college basketball world, pretty close. Arizona, the only team in their way in terms of being number one. There's a lot of different things. They'll be number one eventually if they keep playing like this, but it is just the superlatives. You watch each broadcast crew, and they're all saying the same thing, and it's like, wow, whoa, and it just keeps going, and these guys are searching for things to say about this team. But Michigan plays great defense, and they really execute offensively. They do it inside. They can do it outside. They've got 2 waves of players. They're deep when you're talking about 2 deep at every position, and they just put on a clinic. They have been doing that, but they put it on Villanova, who was a 7-1 team, and a team that Dusty May said he expects to be in the NCAA tournament. And they're one of those teams that might be able to advance in the NCAA tournament. The Wildcats of Villanova had out-rebounded every team this year, but that didn't happen against Michigan, as they were worked over on the glass by 11 at the half. At the half, Michigan was the game was over. Again, this has been one of the things that we have seen over these last 6 games. It's not like this. It's not like this in college basketball, but it has been like this for Michigan. They put the hammer down, and the game is over by halftime, and they must be shell-shocked, the opponents. Villanova, I mean, I'm looking just like everyone else, I'm looking at all the different numbers, and I saw that Villanova was a 17.5-point underdog. And that seems like a lot of points. It was covered easily and quickly, and it was done by the half. And for 28, it was just it should have been more. It could have been whatever they wanted, whatever Michigan wanted. So for me, as I sit here and you say, well, what do you talk about with this team? I think you talk about when they get to number one eventually in the country. I think you look ahead and you do think about this team being a number 1 seed, maybe a number 1 overall seed. I think you want to see goals like sweep Michigan State. If you want to, blow Michigan State, if you're asking me right now, I'd say, yeah, let's see one of these lopsided affairs at the Breslin Center. That would be pretty nice. I mean, you could say it's asking for a lot. You just take a win, sure. But the way they've been playing, you say, why not go up there and wipe the floor with them if you can, So win the Big Ten, win the Big Ten tournament, Final Four, march to Indianapolis, April the 6th, cut down the nets, play for the Natty, and then you just go to heaven, because that's it. I mean, that'll be a start to finish. And there has been, you mentioned it a little bit. I don't think Michigan's going undefeated. It's too hard. It hasn't been done in 50 years. Indiana, 1976. You're going to have cold shooting nights. And but I did see Jeff Goodman, and I think he was writing a piece for The Athletic. I might get that kind of stuff wrong, but I was reading his part of it, and sure enough, he was talking about it was on the table. He thought that Michigan going wire to wire and not losing any games. I don't want to say too early for that, but that game against Michigan State, you start looking at it, and that is the end of January. Michigan certainly should. You would think, looking at it, they got a road game coming up. We'll look at the upcoming schedule for the rest of this month, but Michigan should go undefeated this year in 2025. And then you're starting to look at the back half of the schedule, and Purdue is in there, and Michigan State, and all these other road games in the Big Ten. But it's at least something to, if you're not saying, it is too early to talk about going undefeated. Mentioning it, maybe not just so early, but looking at the day or the likely game that where they would lose their first one. And, I mentioned Michigan State, and it is on January 30th. That would be the one where you would look at up in East Lansing and say, that would be probably the one that you would pick if you were talking about a loss. But, the first loss. But if you're a Michigan fan, you're not thinking about any losing or anything else, and you're certainly not thinking about losing to Michigan State. You just want this party to keep going, and in that line of thinking, I'm watching a lot of people on the Maize and Blue review. Whether there's a live thread, and people are just just thrilled, and Pat and Dusty May, and already talking about a national championship and everything else, and I say. For me, what I see from this team, we can say right now what they have going on is special. So my recommendation is to live in the moment, and that is enjoy each and every one of these games. That's when you look forward to the next one. You make plans for the next one. And you're not just, you don't have your phone out and, scroll. You're watching the game. You're going to the game because this has the markings right now of something really special. So that's my recommendation for you. You do it however you want. But, if you want it, there it is for me, how to go through and enjoy this season and everything that it could bring. Because it so far has been out of sight. Michigan goes today against Villanova, Cadeau, Burnett in the backcourt, and then the long front line that has been so impressive, Mara, Morez Johnson Jr., and Yaxel Lendenborg. That was the starters, and Michigan, they were up by 30 at the break, and the execution, the defense, the points in the paint, 30-2 in favor of Michigan. At halftime, it was a clinic. Michigan shot 56% from the floor. They had a 14-4 assist to turnover ratio. At the half, they were plus 11 on the glass, and they had held Villanova to 28%. In terms of their field goal percentage, this game was over. And you're up by 30. It is over. That gets us to the Maize and Blue Review player of the game. And I am going with Michigan point guard Elliot Cadeau right out of the gate. Drains a three. He was looking good in all departments. Shooting, passing, and defense. Dusty May yesterday made the point that himself and his staff over the last 2 or 3 weeks regard Elliot Cadeau as one of the better defensive guards in all of the country. So wanting to give that up to his point guard, also saying how he loves the physicality of the game. And you saw that in Vegas. Remember, he was hit, fell to the floor, took an elbow to the face. I mean, he's in there. He's kind of a football player playing point guard, but this was his best game in a Michigan uniform. Talking about Cadeau, who goes for 18 points, a Michigan high, 3 boards and 4 assists. But here it is, 7 of 13 from the floor, 4 of 8 from downtown. You think of things like if Cadeau could shoot, I mean, he's not going to shoot 50%, but if he can provide some 3-point shooting, and he's not just standing there with his toes on the line, waiting until he's wide open, like, a Day Mara or Morris Johnson Jr. He's shooting them from deep. It looks good. You can tell, when you watch guys shoot, what their career 3-point percentages are. And then you're watching Cadeau right now. He's got the touch. He's got the arc, whatever, and the confidence, which is so big for Cadeau, who also had a couple steals as well, our player of the game. Mara had 11, 8, and 2. You'd like to see him work on the free throws, 3 of 7. The team, I'm sure we're going to take some of the feedback here. People are talking about maybe want to see Michigan do better at the free throw line. I would say I agree with that. I'm sure Dusty agrees. I'm sure all the players agree with that as well. Yaks is out there, and they don't really need Yaks to be Superman. They just need him to just be like everyone else. There's just like one big amoeba attacking unit that's just going to destroy you, and it doesn't matter who it is. It could be Yaks one night up front, Mara the other night, MJJ, Cadeau in this game. Burnett was firing and dunking. The starting 5 was on point here. Yaks with 9, 3, and 2. Morez Johnson Jr., 7 points, 10 boards, 2 assists. He had a couple blocks. Burnett, I mentioned, he was firing them from everywhere. 1 of 6 from downtown. Not a great night, but he had a nice dunk, and he was shooting them in rhythm. You'd like, if Burnett's in the short corner or on the wing, and he has even a second to shoot, it's going up, and it should. Michigan's bench is great. Trey McKinney continues to, if every game he flashes something. He had 10 points and 6 boards. He had a play go down to him in the left corner, and he spun the player, and then he spun back, and then he took him down on the baseline, and that was a little bit, to me, that was just a skill. You could just see his skill of knowing where he was on the floor, everything, and just collected, just a sweet move. And he also bulldozed his way to the hole, to the cup earlier in the first half. And he'll shoot it from 25 and in. He's got the green light, and he should. I've heard Dusty May say more than once that Trey McKinney plays like a fifth-year senior. I see what he's saying. Roddy Gale Jr. is in the perfect role, comes in. He gets the usage. Give him the ball. Let him drive. Let him do whatever he wants. I mean, he's got it. It's his world right now, 9, 7, and 2. Everybody's fitting in perfectly. I'm going down the list, but if I was looked at the bench, even though Kaysen, it actually sets up, McKinney had 10, Gale had 9, Kaysen had 8, Cheddar had 7, but Kaysen, his first 3 moves, if you're playing around the world, one of those shots, he was falling away out of the paint as he was driving, and he kind of served it up almost like a half finger roll over a frontline player, and it went in. It was an incredible shot. I don't know how he made that. Another one, maybe Sharon Moore will move him over onto the football field. He looked a contested 50-50 ball that was thrown up to him in the paint. He went up, snatched it really good with 2 arms, then came away, took a shot from the defensive back, and then was able to kiss it off the glass and score. I think that was his first bucket. That was impressive. Kaysen can take anyone off the dribble. He loves getting to the hole, and he's a scorer that way, and he had 8 points, and he was impressive. Cheddar took a big elbow to the face. Give me 10 Cheddars out there anytime. 7 and 3 for Cheddar. Winters Grady had a triple. Cordell, the big fella. Oscar Goodman had 2 points. And then the human victory cigar right now is Howard Isley Jr. It was Charlie May, but May is banged up. I don't know what his prognosis is in terms of when he might come back, but Isley is the one now that you're looking to. And all in all, a tremendous game there for Michigan when you look at the final numbers that you say, well, what jumped out? I was giving you the halftime ones, whether it was 30 to 2 in the paint and 11 to 4 assist to turnover ratio. How about Villanova, who had out rebounded every team that they played this year? They get out rebounded by 20 by Michigan. And Michigan shoots 48% from the field, and their assist to turnover ratio ends up being 17 to 12 when they just had 4 in the first half. They were throwing some baseball passes up into the front court, and a couple of those you might say were ill-advised, but you're in a 35 point game and you're looking to get a little showtime. Yaks had a sweet dunk, his best dunk in the maize and blue so far in the first half when he was out in the open. It was kind of a half windmill, but with a pretty big punch. The only thing I didn't like after that, they were showing him, he was holding up his hand and he was looking at it, and he had broke that hand a couple of years ago at UAB, and then he banged that hand on Morez Johnson's Jr.'s elbow in practice before the opener, and then he had that wrap and everybody was talking about it, and it took him a couple games and whatever else, but that's it. I mean, is that one of the concerns? I don't know. Taking a look at it. Dusty yesterday said something about Yaks. And what was it? Here it is. I made a note of it. He said that Yaks is shooting triple the amount of threes that he took at UAB last year and is shooting them at a higher percentage. So not only is he shooting more, he's shooting 3 times the amount of threes, and he's making them at a higher percentage. That's something that you underline. That's good. And there was some talk in the first game or two when you have Yaks and you see how effective he can be. He was effective against St. John's in the exhibition season when he was down low. They were just throwing it down to him and nobody could guard him. He had 3 straight and ones. And you're thinking, just put Yaks down, forget having him play the 3, have him play the 4 or the 5 and just rotate those big men in. But, Dusty apparently knows what he's doing. And he's got Yaks who wants to take his game outside so he'll look better at the next level. And he's doing it. And he's doing it in a great way for himself and for Michigan. I already mentioned Cadeau and the staff calling him one of the best defensive guards in America over the last 2 or 3 weeks. And, I'm wearing my Pistons shirt. They're doing so good this year. And you probably knew this, but maybe you didn't. Mike Boynton, the Michigan assistant, he was at Oklahoma State for, what was he about 6 years as their head coach. But one of those seasons, he recruited, and then Oklahoma State was on probation, and he still got Cade Cunningham to go there for that 1 year. And you got that connection with Boynton and Cade Cunningham. All good stuff. We'll look at the upcoming schedule. We'll look at some polls and some Ken Palm stuff. Let's take some of the feedback. I always appreciate the Michigan basketball fans jumping in to see what they have to say after this game. What I want to do is tell everyone that I am going to just make sure I throw a little retweet of this show. Everything's going so well. Here it is. I do that. Bam. Best team in the nation, says HOK. I'm not arguing that. Joe K says the team played like they took the number 2 ranking personally. Dusty yesterday said that, the team's in the spotlight, obviously, and you can go one of two ways. You can kind of look at the rankings and be like, yeah, we're big men on campus. He didn't say that part, but you can sort of get full of yourself, or you can say, we really like this attention and we really know it's, and you can work even harder. And he said that they're doing that, which is good news, obviously, to hear. Derek, who not only is a member of the Maize and Blue Review, he participates in the live game threads, which can be all over the place. People, whatever message enters your mind, a lot of people just go and put that thought on the game thread. Campbell said Villanova had out rebound their opponents, but Michigan owned the boards. They did that. That's for sure. The Wildcats were trying not to get beat by 30. Keenan, you're right, and they succeeded in that. So so maybe that's something they can feel good about. Arizona will slap Michigan. I don't think if if they're an Arizona Wildcat basketball fan coming in and talking trash, bring it on. Let's go. I don't think that Michigan is afraid of Arizona. If they end up playing Arizona, it will be in the Final Four or the championship game, and let's go. I saw Pete. I watched him in the under-19. I was very impressed with him, and he's a great player. Arizona's pretty good. Looking forward to seeing them and seeing you, Chompy or Champy, whatever your name is, in Indy. Let's go. Bluebeard loved getting a little revenge and embarrassing Nova tonight. Looked great again. We're watching something special. That's right, Nova, who beat Michigan. Jalen Brunson and company beating Michigan in the championship game in 2018. Harold said only watched the second half. Not great. Well, Michigan was up by 30. I think they did just put it in cruise control in the second half and just, lost by so they only won by 28. So they were -2 in the second half. Yeah. Yaks wasn't needed. They were just, they come out and put the hammer down. And that's, if Michigan wanted to win this game by 50, I think they could have. But they're just out there running in the second half. BB saying this was one of our worst 3-point shooting games as well and still won by almost 30. True. And Blue loves seeing LJ Kason taking it to the rim. He has taken a big step. No doubt. Michigan Go Blue says Cadeau was on one tonight, scoring the ball. No doubt. This was his best game. He looked right from the start, right from the jump. Maybe he had something. Maybe he thought about going to Villanova. Maybe he had something, but whatever it was, he was on, and he looked great. Big Meek. What's up, Big Meek? Team is balling. We're looking for Beard, who's talking about, let's see him do better from the free throw line. I knew that was coming, and I think you're right. I think you're right about that. And then here's Champy coming back. He says, let's go. Let's see Arizona and Michigan in the NCAA final. Let's yeah, I would take it, but I am going to, April the 6th. I want to fast forward right now all the way to April the 6th and say, okay, Michigan, Arizona in the championship game. Kind of, but I'll enjoy the journey. I'm enjoying it. There have been, I watched, I don't know when the last time I've missed a Michigan basketball game. It's been years, but maybe some of these. They got a game coming up that's going to be on Big Ten Plus, and sometimes it's nice to try it on the radio. Maybe go to that game. I don't know. We'll see what happens there. Let's look at some more Michigan basketball news and notes. Michigan is number two in the country in the Associated Press, moving up, sitting right there, just Arizona in front of them. Michigan is number one in Ken Palm's rankings. They continue to be there. Their offensive rating efficiency is number 11. Their defensive efficiency is number 1, and you can see it. There's a lot of one and done. You'd have Seton Hall come down, and you see them put up a 3, and they're shooting over Mara, and if they make one, it's like, wow, nice. It's almost like you feel like, wow, nice job, Villanova, but they get shots up, and you can see Michigan's length bothering them, and you just see Michigan's defense. It's suffocating. They control the airwaves. They are physical, and they also have quick hands. I mean, everything that you would want, all through the air, on the ground, in the mid, everything there. They close out. They rebound, and they can play tough. So you like that. Actually, that's their calling card. What's Michigan? It's their defense, and then after that, I'd say their execution. People want to say the superpower. And if I would put, you could go and say a lot of different things. Defense, that would be the superpower for Michigan. The NCAA evaluation tool, NET, the acronym for NET. Michigan is number 1 there. This is the second week that they've broken out the NET. Michigan was 1 in the initial evaluation tool. They're 1 again. It's Michigan, Duke. Where's old what's it? Chompy's Arizona team 6. You need to work on your net rating there, Chompy, because you might have the number 1 in the AP, but everything else, Michigan is sitting there. Keegan doesn't think. I saw something. Oh, Keegan's talking about the AP poll. He did a double post. Yaxel looked like an NBA player tonight. Yaxel is, I don't want to say sneaky athletic, because sometimes when he's walking, I think he looks a little, even when he's moving, a little bit mechanical, but he's throwing down that dunk. And I think the thing that I have to remember is that he is 6'9", but he has a 7'4" wingspan. He's playing everywhere, and he's doing everything like that. JS talking about we need some Fab 5 revenge in the finals against Duke. Beat them by 40. Well, they are going to play Duke in Washington, D.C. in the non-conference schedule, so they could get some revenge there. You're talking about getting that Villanova revenge, get some Duke revenge, get some North Carolina revenge. Let's just keep going down the line. It's Texas Tech. Got a basketball team that they got. I know they got a good football team, but I remember that was that John Beeline's last game. That was a tough watch when it came down to it. So that is where it's at. Michigan wins this one, going away. They are great, playing great. I guess they are great. We do have the upcoming schedule that we do want to get to. And for that, we can tell you that the upcoming schedule is brought to you by the Maize and Blue Review. That is the channel that you're watching, or the feed you're listening to right now. Give yourself, I've got the Christmas decorations here in the studio. I was listening to some Christmas music today. How about give yourself, or that U of M fan in your life, the gift of the Maize and Blue Review? Go to on3.com and hit that subscribe button. We're talking about Michigan all day, all night, during the games. got a live feed going on there, live thread. Michigan basketball fans talking about everything that's going on. Check that out. You get instant access to right now by getting in there. Here it is, that upcoming schedule. Michigan plays again Saturday coming up. That is an 8 o'clock game. They will be out taking on Maryland Saturday night. We will be here after that game. Then a bit of a break. All the way to Sunday, December the 21st. They will take on LaSalle. That's a game on Peacock. And then they will get another break. Monday, December the 29th, McNeese. And that is on Big Ten Plus. So only 3 games left this year. I think Michigan should win all of these games. They should be undefeated. They are 9-0, 10-0, 11-0, 12-0. Will that be good enough to get them number 1 heading into the new year? Maybe. I have to look and see what's up with Arizona, but that's the upcoming schedule. That's what it looks like. And that's how it goes. Chompy says Michigan just playing nobody right now, playing all these little teams against Arizona won't work. Well, the one thing that you will forgive you, Chompy, because you don't pay attention to Michigan's schedule. They played Gonzaga. They played Auburn, the team you beat. What did you beat them by? 19? Michigan beat them by 30. And they didn't have them at home. They wiped San Diego State, TCU. Wake Forest. Michigan, I'll say, and that's where that net. Go ahead and look at those, that NCAA evaluation tool. Michigan has played a tougher schedule than you, Chompy. So what are you talking about? But that's all right. Like I say, I don't expect you to come in here and know everything. I mean, you're just a Wildcat fan. I appreciate the Wildcats. We've got Luke Walton on the Pistons bench. I like him. I like that 97 Arizona team with Mike Bibby running the point. I always thought, he was pretty cool. What was it? Miles was on that team. Jason Terry, was he on that team too? Headband Jason Terry. I like that club. But then there was a few years in a row, I think I picked Arizona. Maybe they were a 2 seed. They got beat, but then they get beat twice as a 2 seed. So come on, man. We'll see. We'll see April the 6th, hopefully, in Indianapolis. That'll do it. We'll see you again here on the Maize and Blue review for a Michigan basketball game this Saturday night after the Maryland game. I will talk with you tomorrow on this very channel you're watching and listening. We'll talk football and basketball. How about that? Maybe might talk hockey, the way it goes. That is going to do it right here. Thanks so much for watching. We're here after every Michigan basketball game, the final 89-61. We'll take it over to the Maize and Blue review. Everybody, have a good night. Michigan's number 2 Michigan, 9-0. They win by 28 over Villanova. Good night.